Welcome, everyone, to another episode. And today I have with us Sarah from Mom's Mental Health Initiative. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here.
Great. So, can you just introduce yourself a little bit and tell us about yourself?
Sure. So, my name is Sarah Bloomquist, and I am a mother of two kids, 12 and 7. I'm also the co founder and executive director of Mom's Mental Health Initiative, which is a grassroots nonprofit that exists around southeastern Wisconsin. And we work to help moms navigate perinatal mood and anxiety disorders.
Okay. So, your mission is really centered around helping moms in that that pregnancy period and the postpartum period, helping them navigate the motherhood journey. And really, what inspired you to start this journey and to support moms in this way?
Sure. Well, part of the reason why I started is because I went through it. I suffered from terrible postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety after the birth of my first. I also experienced it with the birth of my second, although it was a very different situation as far as when my symptoms started and some of the what led into that. But I went through it, and I had a really hard time getting access to the right care. And it's very frustrating because that propelled my illness even longer. Um, so, my co founder, Becky, and I, we met through another event where there was a fundraiser for a larger organization that focused on these type of issues. And when we got together, we both discussed our stories and how we both had such a hard time finding the right care and getting the right treatment, and how we felt like the system was failing us. And then we heard other moms sharing those same type of stories. So we decided that we wanted to provide a service that helps mom find effective and efficient treatment for these conditions such as postpartum depression. We have depression and anxiety during the pregnancy period. I like to refer to it as perinatal because that includes the perinatal, the pregnancy period, as well as roughly a year after you have your baby.
Wonderful. Yeah, I actually had a similar experience of this postpartum depression that I didn't actually even realize was there until it was gone, and I was like, "Oh, I was not feeling okay."
Right.
So to find other moms that identified this and built a solution around it is absolutely incredible. And it is so much more common than anyone realizes, um, entering that parenthood journey. I had no idea that it was something that could happen.
Right.
So it wasn't on my radar. So, what sorts of things do you have available for first time moms to have it on their radar, to look for it, to watch for it?
Sure. So, couple things that I recommend that we offer is to check out our social media. So, check out our Facebook page. One of the things we pride ourselves in is that we try to represent the mom's perspective. So, what is a mom experiencing if she might be going through one of these disorders? Um, so, these our social media focuses on articles, quotes, information that's really geared toward the mom and the family and their partner. We also recommend going to our website, momsmentalhealthmke.org, because on the site we kind of get more into what are these perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, what's included in that, what do they look like on the mom versus what do they look like in the textbook. And then through that, we have other services that we offer, like helping moms connect to a provider that would understand what they're going through. So we have a preferred provider list of those for evidence based treatment options, such as therapist and a doctor, We've screened, we've vetted these providers to make sure that they understand the perinatal period, the nuances that go with it, and also know how to treat somebody who might be experiencing this. You'd be surprised how many providers do not understand PMADs, as we call them, and they can often do more harm than good. So, we are able to help connect you to somebody. And even for preventative measures, it's good to just know. It's good to know your risk factors, to talk to your provider about it. Looking at your history, do you have a mental health history? Do you have someone in your family that went through one of these disorders? So, one of the things that we do is just provide accurate information, and then helping you find somebody local in your area who will be able to help you feel better sooner.
That's wonderful. So any, new first-time moms or expecting moms who have had an issue in the past can go to your website, find some outlines and find some resources to find a provider sooner rather than later, and, prevention is key too, to know, like, that is something that if you can catch it even before it happens or at the beginning stages, really, it can decrease the amount of time that there's that it's
Right.
suffering, it's really suffering, it's very
Right.
hard to go through. So that's
Well,
wonderful.
if I can jump in and just say that, the longer we wait to feel better and get treatment, the longer that treatment takes to get us better.
Mhm.
So, really getting in there right away. And there's so many obstacles to getting good treatment. And I think shame is one of them. But helping moms recognize, like, this is not your fault. This is a disease. You did nothing wrong. And then, like I said, knowing those risk factors can play a huge role in how you prepare for when you have your baby.
Absolutely. All right, so you've covered some wonderful resources that you have available. Um, I would like to touch on a little bit, what changes have you seen with PMADs and pregnancy and the postpartum period as the political climate and our public health climate changes in front of our eyes?
Right. Good question. So, across the board, we're seeing an increase in PMADs, mostly an increase in anxiety, I would say. I mean, that
Mhm.
is just my pure opinion. Um, but yeah, we're seeing that because of isolation. So, there's a lot more isolation going on during that perinatal period. We're also seeing so many unknowns. The climate changes based on what's going on in your city or your town really dictates what's going on in your hospital or your birthing center. So guidelines are changing, who you can have with you, how many people you can have with you when you deliver. Then we're also looking at who can visit the baby. What if the baby's in the NICU? And we're also seeing more studies coming out that saying pregnant women have a higher risk of severe complications from COVID. So that's also causing preterm births. So, there's a lot of information, a lot of unknowns, and then lack of support because of all of this. And therefore, even before COVID, we've been seeing a rise in anxiety, anyways. So, there's a lot of measures that people can partake in to help ease that. Um, but I would definitely say the risk factors for PMADs are increasing right now.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Off the top of your head, do you know the current statistics for PMADs?
As far as getting them, who
Yeah.
might get them.
Mhm.
So, what we know is that 1 in 7 women get them. Um, we would say that's probably closer to 1 in 5 because
Yeah.
of lack of reporting. For women in lower socioeconomic areas or women of color, the risk factor is even higher. So we're looking at like 1 in 4. I would definitely say people of color have a greater increase for PMADs due to systemic racism that has affected their health, that has affected their opportunity for access to good care. And then we're
Absolutely.
also seeing, the way women are treated in healthcare, oftentimes not being listened to, being told that they they don't really know their bodies, which isn't true. And then if you're a person of color, that the likelihood of not being listened to is even greater. So, those numbers could be getting higher. We wouldn't really know until more studies are done, but it is the number one complication of childbirth. So that puts that in perspective. And then when you look at maternal death, it is one of the leading causes of death amongst postpartum women. In certain areas, it is the leading cause of death. And so we're looking about women who might be taking their life because, like you said, you suffer. It is a very miserable experience.
Oh, that is absolutely heartbreaking to me. It's for it to be the number one complication, and I was not screened after any of my pregnancies for any anxiety or depression, and I don't think that is the norm. And let's lobby for it to be the norm. There are tools out there for screenings, and the more we talk about it too, the less shame there can be in it. Because I know a number of women who are experiencing some anxiety or depression don't even want to talk about it because they're worried that CPS might get involved.
Yep.
And that's frankly not true, especially if you're reaching out to one of the providers that really know the ins and outs of the illness, and that it's not something that requires CPS, and that's not the norm. Can you speak to that at all?
Sure. So, absolutely, there are moms where CPS has been called, the police have been called because their provider does not really have a full understanding of what a PMAD includes and the different types of symptoms. Oftentimes, moms with postpartum OCD experience this high level of intrusive thoughts. So these are dark thoughts, disturbing thoughts that really make the mom feel horrified at them. And some moms go to great lengths to avoid harm coming to their child. They're not going to act on these thoughts. But if they tell a provider who really doesn't understand that, they might think, oh, they're at risk. They're going to hurt someone or themselves. We better call the police. So that's why we really encourage moms to talk to providers who have a full grasp of this, because that's not necessary. There's also a condition called postpartum psychosis, and this is actually very different than postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety or postpartum OCD, and it's very rare. It's about 1 in 1,000, and these are the sensationalized stories you hear on TV. And people might say, oh, that's PPD, but it's not. It's postpartum psychosis, which is also a mental illness that can be treated and should not be stigmatized. Our country is one of the only countries in these first world countries that actually penalizes moms so severely if they commit infanticide. We very much punish moms for these mental illnesses instead of doing the work to prevent things from happening. So yeah, it's very important that you get with somebody who gets PMADs.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Anything else you want to cover on that topic?
No,
Okay.
I mean, I can talk for hours on these topics, but I think that kind of gets it. It's heartbreaking. I mean, it's an injustice, and I don't want moms to be afraid to reach out because of that. And that's why we create these safe spaces and places for moms to reach out, like Mom's Mental Health Initiative.
Absolutely. And that's really what we need. And that's going to be the first step to changing how our society responds to any mental illness, really, and realizing that, yes, we can work through it, and we need support, and we need help. And again, with the current climate we're in, a lot of our community, our in-person community, has been stripped from us. And that's a whole nother complicating factor. So you have the online communities for postpartum women, and again, a provider that they can see one-on-one as needed, And I think more and more counselors and therapists are starting to do in
Right.
person. So that can be helpful too. The video conferencing is good, but it's not as good as in person. So
Right.
hopefully we can have a safe public health environment that we can get back to that as soon as possible. So, what advice do you have for a new or expecting mom as she enters her motherhood journey?
So one of my main statements of advice, I guess you could say, is do what's right for you. So there's no one size fits all when it comes to pregnancy and motherhood. There is no perfect way of doing it. What's right for you and those who are supporting you uh, is right for you and your baby. So the mom and baby are a dyad, and we just don't ignore mom's needs to and focus only on the baby. Happy mom, happy baby is often what we say. So for some moms, we encourage breastfeeding and trying that. For some moms, it might not look the way they want it to look. It might be difficult. So it's okay to look at options. We really encourage options. We encourage just understanding what's out there. And you kind of have to have a balance. You don't want to like read all the horror stories about having a baby, but you also want to have a framework and be educated enough to have these discussions with your provider, and demand that you have these discussions with your provider. Um, you and your provider should be working together to deliver this baby, not just your provider having the power and say of what happens. So, doing what's right for you. For example, for me, with my second, I just knew I needed to have my sleep at night, and I sent my baby to the nursery all night, just so I could have a full night's sleep 2 nights in a row, so that when I got home, I could function better. Because we know lack of sleep directly affects mental health and can make it worse. So that's what I chose. I did get a little pushback from a nurse, and I said, no, I know what I'm talking about. This is what I said. This is written in my postpartum plan. Leave it alone. So, I really have a hard time with the idea that moms don't know best for themselves. And I think the more that we provide education and information, we can make um, educated decisions for ourselves. So, yeah, my main advice is that, do what's right for you. Be proactive in your health and your mental health, and know that you're not alone. You're just not alone in this, that there is a lot of support. Um, so I think that's probably my advice right now. I mean, like I said, I can talk for hours and give you plenty of advice, but it's very important that you're not alone in this.
Absolutely. And I think that that is the biggest hurdle to get over. I remember I felt so alone. At home with my baby. The week my first was born, my husband worked 80 hours that week,
Oh,
and
yeah.
kind of by choice, kind of not. It was special circumstances, but that's building a network of support before you have your baby is one way to not feel alone. So that is another coping skill that you can put in place for yourself too. All right. So, the last question I have for you is how we can find you and Mom's Mental Health Initiative. So, I think we went over that, but I'll have you go over it one more
Yeah.
time.
So sure. So you can find us online, obviously. And it's Mom's Mental Health Initiative, mke.org. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. Um, you can message us, you can email us. There's a form on our website for you to email us. We do not have a phone number because we are not crisis oriented, so we do everything online, and we respond right away. We work with you to help you get what you need. I also want you to know that we have an online peer support group called Circle of Hope. It's via Facebook. It's private. You cannot find it. You can't be added to it unless you're added by myself or my admins. And it's for women pregnant up to a year postpartum who live in southeastern Wisconsin who are experiencing any depression or anxiety or related issues. So it's all peer support. It's a great way to, like we were saying, not to feel alone. And just reach out. We're here and we get it. We've been through it, and we know it gets better. It gets a lot better. So please don't hesitate.
Absolutely. And just if you can find another mom that has gone through it, or even if you don't know if she's gone through it, if she has kids, she has some sort of idea what could be going on for you.
Can I
So,
say one more thing? I am
yeah,
sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you,
that's
but I
fine.
want to say I am so grateful for people like you, for chiropractors and the physical therapists that are working with moms who are so aware of PMADs and a mom's mental health, because it takes a village to raise a mom and it takes a village to raise a baby. And having chiropractors like you looking out for moms and pointing them in the right direction is what we must be doing as a community all over the place. So I want to thank you, Camille, for making
Oh.
this a priority as well.
Well, thanks so much. I appreciate that. It's really at this point that, yes, as a community, we do need to take it into our own hands. We're not getting it through the medical system. The medical system isn't set up to build a community. So it's up to our more nuclear communities to do that. And I do take the responsibility very seriously. And I'm also very thankful that Mom's Mental Health Initiative is there to aid me in that when there is someone in my office that does need help. It's not all on me because we're a community and we do all work together. So
Right.
wonderful. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me today. And hopefully we'll be doing in-person events again soon. We've done Mom's Night Out in the past here at my office and at Close to the Heart, and they're wonderful. And it's so great to raise money for such an honorable cause. So hopefully
Thank you.
We'll have group gatherings again soon.
Thank you so much.
All right. It was so good to see you, and we'll talk again soon.
All right.
Bye.